Imagine you wake up in the morning. You're about to go to work, but there's no car, no motorcycle, no gasoline. In fact, gas stations never even existed. The air feels quieter. The streets are not crowded with traffic. And the world feels completely different from the one you know. Now imagine something even bigger. What if, from the very beginning, Earth never had oil and gas? No fossil fuels, no plastic, no combustion engines. Would humanity still build a modern civilization? Or would the world actually become a better place? Thousands of years ago, humans relied entirely on nature. Muscle power, animals, firewood, wind, water. In our world, oil and gas created a massive energy leap. They accelerated everything. But in a world without oil, that leap never happens. That means humanity would evolve much more slowly, but perhaps much more wisely. Windmills wouldn't just be simple tools. Watermills wouldn't just be old technology. In this world, they would be the center of civilization. They would power industries, farms, entire cities. Because there is no alternative. Clean energy becomes the only path from the very beginning. And because of those limitations, humans are forced to think further ahead. Imagine if, instead of focusing on fuel, humanity focused on electricity from the start. Not gasoline, not diesel, electricity. Then most likely, electricity would be developed much earlier, refined faster, expanded everywhere. Massive dams could have been built centuries earlier. Wind turbines would dominate landscapes. Solar panels might have become common far sooner than we expect. And there's an even bigger possibility. Humanity might have discovered nuclear energy earlier. While our world was busy burning oil, that world might have already stepped into the future. Now picture the streets of a city. No personal cars as we know them. No roaring engines. No exhaust smoke. Instead, electric trains move silently across the city. Public transportation becomes the backbone of daily life. Cities are designed to be compact, efficient, and connected. People don't rely on private vehicles. Traffic jams? They might never become a major problem. And electric vehicles? Not a modern innovation, but something that has existed for a very long time. But there is one major challenge: the sky. Without oil-based fuel, airplanes become extremely difficult to develop. Air travel is no longer cheap or common. Traveling between countries becomes slower, more expensive, and more exclusive. The world feels larger, more distant, and not everyone can easily explore it. Globalization still happens, but at a much slower pace. Now let's talk about something we often take for granted: plastic. Look around you right now. Your water bottle, food packaging, electronics. Almost all of it comes from oil. In a world without oil, plastic would barely exist. No plastic waste in the oceans. No plastic bags in markets. No single-use packaging. Instead, people rely on glass, metal, wood, and natural fibers. Products become heavier, more expensive, but also more durable. There is no use and throw away culture. Instead, people repair, reuse, and preserve. The world becomes cleaner, but life becomes simpler. Now think about the bigger picture. Many global conflicts in modern history are driven by one thing: oil. Without oil and gas, there are no battles over oil fields, no global energy crises. Countries are no longer competing for this resource. Power shifts. It's no longer about who has oil, but who has technology. And maybe, just maybe, the world becomes a little more peaceful. Then we arrive at one of the most powerful impacts: the environment. Without large-scale fossil fuel burning, the air is cleaner, the sky is bluer, the oceans are clearer. Climate change might not be as severe as it is today. Global temperatures are more stable. Ecosystems remain healthier. Imagine living in a city without pollution. No exhaust fumes. No burning fuel smell. But all of this comes at a cost. Without cheap energy from oil, everything becomes more expensive. Production slows down. Distribution becomes harder. Technology still advances, but not as fast as in our world. Life may feel more limited, more difficult, more simple. But there is something fascinating about it. humanity still survives. Humanity still adapts. And humanity always finds a way to move forward. Because in the end, civilization is not built by oil and gas. It is built by ideas, by necessity, and by the human ability to innovate. So the real question is no longer, can a world without oil survive? But rather, could a world without oil actually be better? And more importantly, do we have to wait for that world to happen? Or can we start changing right now? If you lived in that world, do you think life would be better or harder? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because here we explore ideas that change the way you see the world. But let's go even deeper, because a world without oil doesn't just change technology, it changes how humans think. In our world, energy is easy. You flip a switch, and the lights turn on. You press a pedal, and your car moves. But in a world without oil, energy is never taken for granted. Every watt matters. Every movement has a cost. And that changes behavior. People become more conscious, more efficient, more intentional. Cities are no longer built around convenience, but around necessity. Homes are designed to capture sunlight. Buildings are shaped to channel wind. Entire communities are planned to reduce energy waste. It's not just technology that evolves, it's mindset. Now imagine growing up in that world. You wouldn't dream of owning 3 cars. You wouldn't throw away something after one use. Instead, you would grow up learning how to fix things, how to reuse materials, how to live with less, but value more. And strangely, that might create a different kind of happiness. Not the fast, consuming, always upgrading lifestyle we know today, but a slower, more grounded way of living. Now think about innovation. In our world, many inventions exist because oil made them possible. But in that world, innovation is driven by limitation. Instead of asking, what's the fastest way? People ask, what's the most efficient way? Instead of building bigger machines, they build smarter ones. Instead of consuming more energy, they learn how to do more with less. And that kind of thinking could lead to breakthroughs we haven't even imagined. For example, battery technology might be far more advanced than ours today. Energy storage could be incredibly efficient. Cities might run entirely on decentralized power systems. Even transportation could look completely different. Maybe not cars, but something quieter, lighter, smarter. Now let's talk about another unexpected impact. Time. In our world, everything is fast. Fast travel, fast delivery, fast communication. But without oil, speed is no longer the default. Travel takes longer. Shipping takes longer. Expansion takes longer. And because of that, people might value time differently. Less rushing, less urgency, less pressure to always be on the move. Life becomes slower, but maybe more meaningful. And here's where it gets really interesting. Culture. A world without oil might preserve traditions longer, because change happens more slowly. Local identities remain strong. Communities stay connected. Craftsmanship becomes more valuable. Instead of mass production, you have skilled creation. Instead of global sameness, you have local uniqueness. Now imagine walking through a market in that world. No plastic packaging. No mass-produced goods. Everything feels real, handmade, durable, authentic. And suddenly, modern doesn't mean disposable. It means sustainable. But let's not romanticize it too much, because this world is not perfect. There are still challenges. Without oil-based fertilizers, agriculture becomes harder. Food production may be less efficient. Prices could be higher. Medical advancements might come slower. Some life-saving technologies could take longer to develop. And without rapid transportation, emergency response becomes more difficult. So yes, this world might be cleaner, but it's also more demanding. And that brings us to a powerful realization. Oil didn't just make life easier. It made life faster, cheaper, more convenient. But it also created dependency. And maybe that dependency is something we're only now beginning to understand. Because today in the real world, We are slowly trying to move away from oil. We are investing in renewable energy, electric vehicles, sustainable materials. In a way, we are trying to return to a path that this alternate world took from the very beginning. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all, that the future we're trying to build is actually a version of a past that never happened. So the question becomes even more powerful. What if we didn't need oil to begin with? What if everything we're trying to fix today could have been avoided? And now here you are, living in a world built on oil and gas, but also standing at a moment in history where change is still possible. So what do you think? Would you trade this fast, modern, convenient world for a slower, cleaner, more sustainable one? Or do you believe the cost would be too high? There's no simple answer. But one thing is certain. The world we live in today is not the only version of the future that could exist. And maybe, just maybe, it's not too late to choose a different path. And there's one more layer to this. A layer most people never think about. Power. Not electricity, but power between humans. In our world, control over oil has shaped empires. It has influenced wars, alliances, and global dominance. But in a world without oil, power doesn't come from what lies beneath the ground. It comes from what exists above it. Sunlight, wind, water. Energy is no longer concentrated in a few regions. It's distributed across the planet. That means something revolutionary happens. No single region holds the key to global energy. Every country, every city, even small communities, can generate their own power. And that changes everything. Energy independence becomes normal. Centralized control becomes weaker. Local systems become stronger. Imagine villages powering themselves. Cities running on their own energy grids. Countries no longer dependent on imports just to survive. It's a world where energy is not a weapon, but a shared resource. And when energy is decentralized, so is opportunity. Now think about inequality. In our world, access to energy often defines opportunity. More energy means more industry, more jobs, more growth. But in this alternate world, if energy is more evenly distributed, opportunity might be too. Not perfectly equal, but perhaps more balanced. Now imagine education in that world. Without constant distraction. Without fast-paced, high-consumption lifestyles. Learning might feel different. More focused. More practical. More connected to real life. People might grow up understanding systems better. How energy works. How food is produced. How materials are used. Because survival depends on it. And that creates a different kind of intelligence. Not just theoretical, but deeply practical. Now let's go even further. Think about the psychology of humans in that world. In our reality, we're used to instant results. Order something, it arrives tomorrow. Press a button, everything happens instantly. But in a slower world, patience becomes normal. Waiting becomes part of life. Effort becomes expected. And that changes how people feel. Less instant gratification, but perhaps more appreciation. Because when something takes time, it becomes more valuable. Now imagine relationships. Without constant movement, without fast travel, people stay closer to where they are. Communities become tighter. Families stay connected longer. Human connection becomes more local, but possibly deeper. Now step back for a moment and compare both worlds. Our world, fast, efficient, hyper-connected, but often overwhelming. That world, slower, cleaner, more grounded, but more demanding. So which one is truly better? The truth is, there is no perfect world. Every path comes with trade-offs. Every advantage has a cost. But what makes this question powerful is not choosing between the two worlds. It's realizing we are still shaping ours right now. Because even though oil and gas exist, we are no longer limited to them. We have choices. We can build cleaner energy. We can design smarter cities. We can reduce waste. We can rethink how we live.